What if I told you renting could actually make you richer than owning a home? I know that goes against everything I've been taught, but depending on where you live and how long you stay, buying might actually set you back financially. Today I'm going to break down the real cost of buying versus renting, a powerful calculator that does the math for you, and a simple rule to know whether you can afford to buy a home. Here's the truth. In many US cities, you need to stay in a home for over 7 years before buying actually beats renting. Surprised? We're going to unpack why in this video. The real cost of homeownership. Most people compare just the mortgage to the rent, but there's so much more to owning a home. Here are 6 main costs that you need to know. First is the mortgage. This is your monthly loan payment. Early on, most of it goes toward interest, not the actual home. Second is property taxes. These vary by location. In Hawaii, for example, it's as low as 0.32%. In New Jersey, try 2.23%. Third is homeowners insurance. These are required by lenders, and rates can spike due to natural disasters and can sometimes even outpace your mortgage. Fourth is maintenance. Roofs leak, toilets break. Set aside about 1% of your home's value annually. For a home that's $500,000, for example, that's $5,000 a year. Fifth is opportunity cost. If you put down $100,000 for a down payment, that's money that's not earning 7% by investing it in the stock market. That trade-off matters. 6 is HOA and condo fees. Older properties equal higher fees, and special assessments can surprise you. So if you're only comparing rent versus mortgage, you're missing out on a huge chunk of the picture. The real cost of renting. Renting is simpler, but is not free of extras. First is the rent. This is straightforward. You pay to live there. You don't own it, but you don't deal with any major surprises either. Second is renter's insurance. This covers your stuff and liability. It's usually cheap. Think $10 or $20 per month. Third is security deposit. Usually this is 1 month of rent, and you get it back if there's no damage to your place. And fourth are fees. Parking fees, pet fees, and utilities. Always check the fine print. Still, these costs are usually more predictable than owning. So which one do you think wins? Take a guess. We'll use a calculator to find out. Stay with me here. The Rent First Buy calculator. At the Department of Treasury, I reviewed thousands of mortgage applications. I've seen many people, even people who earn hundreds of thousands of dollars, buy homes without running a single number. Many borrowers assume that if a bank offers a mortgage, it's affordable. That's not true. You can't just trust whatever a lender or realtor says. After all, they're trying to make a buck off of you, and you're the one left holding the bag. Have you ever run the numbers before? You might be shocked by what you find. I like NerdWallet's Rent First Buy tool. It includes everything we just talked about. Imagine this, you're deciding between a $3,000 apartment or a $500,000 home. Which is the smarter move? We're going to input some numbers into the calculator to figure this out. And if you're following along, information about the inputs we're using for the calculator are in the description below. Plug it all in, and we get the result. Renting is cheaper than buying for the first 3 years. After that, buying starts to win. See how this flips the script on renting versus buying? If you change the rent to $1,500, renting becomes the clear winner. Raise it to $6,000, buying pulls ahead fast. The key takeaway? How long you plan to stay matters. So does the true cost of homeownership versus the true cost of renting. Do your research and make sure the numbers you use match up with your local market and the homes you're looking for. Deciding whether to rent or buy a home is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. Run the numbers. If this is eye-opening, drop a comment and let me know which side, renting or buying, you thought would come out ahead. The non-financial factors that matter. First are family plans. If you want stability for your kids and access to good schools, buying may be worth it. Second is your timeline. If you're staying for less than 5 to 7 years, renting may be better. Real estate can dip in the short term. Third is your lifestyle. Love DIY projects? Probably a great homeowner. Hate fixing toilets? You're probably better off renting. And 4 is your dream. Buy because you want to, not because of social pressure. Okay, so now you know when renting wins and when buying might make more sense. But can you actually afford to buy? That's where the 7-20-50 rule comes in. This rule saved me from buying a house I couldn't afford. Think of it as your safety check before taking on a mortgage. Just because buying looks cheaper long-term, it doesn't mean you can afford the house today. Some of you may know that you shouldn't spend more than 30% of your net income on a mortgage. But this doesn't give the full picture. Where does this number come from anyway? Well, when I worked at the Department of Treasury, I was able to look under the hood of how lenders decide whether to offer a mortgage. When lenders originate a mortgage, they sell those mortgages to either Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. This allows the lender to get cash back from making their loan. Both Fannie and Freddie typically do not buy mortgages that have a debt-to-income ratio, or DTI, above 36%, because borrowers with DTIs higher than 36% are more likely to not repay their loans. The problem is that this number says very little about whether a borrower can actually afford the loan. Fannie, Freddie, and lenders really don't care whether your income is sufficient to cover all your loans, insurance, taxes, and other required expenses, as long as you can pay that mortgage every month. This is why the 30% rule sucks. It doesn't actually tell you whether you can afford a home. It only tells you whether a lender will approve you. This is a bad measuring stick. This is why I use the 7-20-50 rule. It tells you whether you can actually afford a home, not just whether a lender will approve your loan application. Let's break it down. 7. Like investments, mortgages compound. Your mortgage rate should be under 7%. Above that, you're paying more interest than you're likely to earn by investing. That's a wealth killer. 20. You should have at least 20% saved for your down payment. This avoids PMI, lowers your interest rate, and gives you an equity buffer in case prices drop. 50. All your required expenses, your mortgage, your rent, home maintenance, property taxes, debt payments, insurance, and etc., should be less than 50% of your income. If it exceeds half your income, you won't have as much money to invest in your future goals and spend on things you love. Let's do a quick self-check. Can you pass the 7-20-50 test? Grab a pen or just answer in your head. You can also use the free worksheet available on my website to help you figure out how much you're spending on required expenses. Stick to the 7-20-50 rule and your home won't bankrupt you. Buying a home isn't always a step forward. Sometimes it's a step into a financial trap. Renting can be just as smart if you know how to invest the difference and plan ahead. You deserve more than just the American dream. You deserve your own dream. Need help calculating your expenses? My free calculator and worksheet can walk you through creating a budget and helps meet the 7-20-50 rule, so you can run your numbers with confidence. These tools will help you figure out how much of your income are for required expenses and create a plan to get those numbers below half your income. Want personalized advice? Check out the Work With Me page so we can work together to create a financial plan to achieve your American dream. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who's deciding whether to rent or buy their next home. And remember, life is lived outside your wallet. Cheers. Secure your deposit of 1 month of rent, renter's insurance,